Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Miguel back again with another video, and today I have another OnePlus phone, but this one is an exotic one, a really exciting one, because the phone that I have today is the OnePlus Open. Not a really good name in my opinion, but this is a first gen phone from OnePlus, and considering that this is a first gen phone, it's actually a really good phone. In fact, this is such a good phone that it makes me think whether this is the moment, this is that defining moment that actually makes people like you and me just walk into a store and consider buying this as a regular phone. For example, like me buying an iPhone or a Galaxy Ultra phone or any other flagship. And talking about flagships, can this phone be considered a flagship? Is this phone that good that it actually doesn't compromise the things that you usually get from a flagship phone when you put them in a foldable phone? And this phone was actually marketed keeping in mind people that don't like foldable phones or people that are usually very critical about them. Now, I should mention that this phone is a direct copy, it's a ditto copy of the Oppo Find N3, and that can make kind of OnePlus sound lazy, but I think that there was still a lot of development that came into this. In fact, if you look at the box over here, and if you look at the manufacturing, it says manufactured by Oppo Mobile Technology. So this is in fact a rebranded Find N3. Now, I've already unboxed this, so I have the phone actually over here, but I'll go ahead and just show you guys what usually comes in the box. So we have the box over here, and you can see that this has the Hasselblad branding, the collaboration with that. Now, these cameras are not really Hasselblad, I'll go ahead and say that. This is more of a collaboration when it comes to the color processing. So once you open up the box, the phone kind of presents itself and this kind of pops up. So you usually have the phone over here, and then we have the 80 watt, I believe it's an 80 watt charger, which is a little bit less. Yeah, this is an 80 watt Super Vogue charger. This is usually less than what we're used to seeing, but foldable phones really don't charge at such high wattage. But I'll go ahead and mention that in a little bit. Usually we see a 100 watt charger. We have an 80 watt charger here, which is very nice to see for a foldable. So I'll get that into a little bit. And then we actually have a case, a cover, which I'm glad that that OnePlus is actually including, because these are not really easy to find. You won't be able to find these third-party covers here and there. I'm not sure what this is. This looks like some sort of seal. And then we have the cover here, which is kind of like a rubber, soft textured one. I don't really like the color, but I think it kind of matches. They're trying to match that emerald dust color that the phone comes in. Yeah, and this is pretty much it. So this is the cover that comes with the phone. I don't see any paperwork here. Maybe you have, oh yeah, we have some paperwork over here, some stickers, the usual SIM pin. And then we finally have the signature red color cable that comes with the box. So that is it for the unboxing experience. We'll get to the phone and talk about the design of it. Now, the thing that I really liked immediately is the weight and the thickness, because this, just holding it like this, you really can't tell that this is a foldable phone. And this is so light that it's actually the same weight as an iPhone 14 Pro Max's stainless steel edition. This also has stainless steel sides, it has a glass front and glass back as well. And the inside is obviously the folding cover, which is usually not made up of glass, it's usually made up of plastic. But just holding it like this, it doesn't feel any thicker than my daily driver, which is a 12 Pro with a cover on. So if you have a cover on an iPhone, it's pretty much the same thickness. You guys can see over here as well that it's not really that much more thicker than an iPhone with a cover, and it's also not that much heavier. So these two phones feel pretty similar, I would say. So maybe this one is a little bit heavier, but again, this weighs the exact same as an iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is kind of awesome. You also have one of the biggest camera bumps that I've seen on a foldable device, because this has a triple camera setup, which again is collaborated by Hasselblad, and they couldn't. It's so big that they actually couldn't find place. They could if they didn't want to, have the Hasselblad branding over here, but the flash is actually on this side instead of here. And one of the things that I don't like about this, which is this, it's such a big gap that you'll always find the phone a little bit lifting upwards, and there's a lot of play in that. So that's one of the things that I don't like. I mean, if you want to place it like this, it's always gonna scratch it up. and it's really not recommended. This hinge is probably also one of the best hinges out there because this has been tested for 1 million folds, which is probably more than any other phone. I'm glad to see that we don't have any gap over here, so that's always good to see. We have speakers over here. We have the reintroduction of the slider here for the mute button. We have the volume rockers over here, and then we also have the power button, which is integrated into a fingerprint sensor. On the bottom as well, we have speakers, we have the USB-C port, and then we also have the SIM tray. This also has, surprisingly, IPX4 water resistance, so that's also a really good thing considering that this is a first-gen phone. But is it really a first-gen phone? Because this is the first phone from OnePlus, no doubt. But you know, other phone manufacturers that really haven't come out with foldable devices are learning from companies that have come out with foldable devices. So they're looking at what they're doing, they're learning from their mistakes and actually then leaving all of that out, or kind of improving on the areas on places where, you know, there's most criticism, and then kind of coming out with a phone that usually addresses that. For example, this is probably the phone that has the least visible crease that I've seen on any foldable. It's nearly impossible to tell just by looking at it. Obviously, when you're moving it in different lights, you are gonna see it. There's obviously a crease. I'm not saying that there isn't, but it's the least visible crease that I've seen on any phone, on any foldable out there. Let's talk about the display, which is probably one of the most impressive features about this phone. So the front display is, again, it looks like a normal display. It's a 6.3-inch fluid AMOLED display, which has a resolution which is slightly higher than full HD, so that's good to see. The inner display is a 7.82-inch, also fluid AMOLED display, which is also 120 Hz, and it's an LTPO display, so it'll go from 120 to 10 Hz when it's needed, both on the curved display on the inside screen. But the most amazing part is the blinding 2800 nits of peak brightness. This is officially the phone that has the most brightness that I've ever tested out on this channel, and it's actually, I think, one of the only phones that has 2800 nits of brightness. The upcoming Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra is rumored to come out with 2500 nits of peak brightness, so it kind of gives you an idea of how ridiculously bright this is. The other thing that I actually like as well is that the camera module on the inner display is actually on the side, so it's not in the middle. I don't have really a problem with that, but they're not messing around with any of that under display crap. It's on the side, it's kind of minimal. The bezels are also pretty equal on all sides, which is something that I really like. If we talk about multitasking, if we talk about the power user stance, this is kind of built on that. So this comes with OxygenOS 13.2, I believe. And one of the things that for example, this is going to reflect everything that you have on the outside screen equally on the cover screen as well. So for example, let's go ahead and just go ahead and delete this. So if I have this over here and I click remove, once I put it on the inside screen and just swipe up, you're going to see that it's no longer there. So there's a lot of features that are based for multitasking and for power users. Talking about the performance, I already mentioned that this comes with Snapdragon's 8 Gen 2 chip, which is the latest chip that we have right now, obviously apart from the 8 Gen 3, which is not really available in a lot of phones. But when we tested it out, this gave us a 1.32 million points, which again is obviously the best of the best right now from the 8 Gen 2 perspective. This also comes with 16 gigs of RAM, so this is not gonna slow you down in any way. You can play games, you can use this for multitasking, you can use this as a everyday phone as well, for work as well, is something that you can use it. And the other thing that I really like is the hinge that can be put in any position that you want. It actually stays in any position that you want it to. So this can be used for multitasking as well. So if you want to do two things at a time, if you want to use the back camera as well, that's something that you can also use. Now, if you talk about the battery, this comes with 4,805 milliamperes of battery. So the battery is not really the highest. 5,000 milliamperes is what we normally see, but still it's higher than most foldable phones out there. Then this comes with 67 watts of wired fast charging. Even though the charger that we get in the box is 80 watts, this is only going to support 67 watts of fast charging, which again is also the most out of any foldable phone. The only thing that is kind of weird is that they left out wireless charging completely. So there is no wireless charging at all on this, which is kind of the most OnePlus thing to do. So, I mean, they just left it out completely, even though it doesn't really add to the cost, it doesn't really add to the functionality of the phone, it doesn't really sacrifice in any way. Nevertheless, it still has the fastest charging out there. So from 0 to 100, this will charge in about 42 minutes. Now, when it comes to the cameras, we have a triple camera setup. We have a wide 48 megapixel camera. We have another 48 megapixel camera, which is the ultra wide, and then we have a 64 megapixel camera for the telephoto lens. This does come with Hasselblad branding, but this is not a Hasselblad camera. I should clarify that right now. This is just the image processing and the color processing is by Hasselblad, but it's not really a Hasselblad camera for those that are wondering. The cameras are pretty decent. I did find it a little bit lacking in some areas, specifically when there's people or there's animals that are moving. It kind of, for some reason, it just kind of blurs it. So it's not really, the shutter speed is maybe not as quick as we would want it to be. So that's one of the feedbacks that I had. Apart from that, the camera is really good. We also have a 20 megapixel camera here on the cover display, which is pretty decent. And then we have a 32 megapixel camera here on the inner display as well. So these cameras are capable of shooting in 4K resolution at 30 and 60 FPS, and then the front cameras are going to give you 1080p in 30 and 60 FPS as well. Last but not least, if we talk about the pricing, now this phone comes, it's still not cheap. I'm going to say that it's a foldable device, so the prices are still higher. It uses a bigger display, a new technology when it comes to the hinge, so you are going to have a higher rate. So this comes at $1,699, which is around 6,200 dirhams. It's about $100 less than the competition out there with the Z Fold 5 and the Pixel Fold. Considering that you can buy a regular flagship phone for about half of the price, or at least $700 less than this, would you still consider buying this? I mean, yes and no, because I think that even though this is probably one of the best foldable devices out there, it's still not there yet. There's still a lot of things that have to be improved on this phone. For example, the hinge is, even though it's a really good hinge, but there's been a lot of feedback about it. I've heard that you'll start to see dead pixels on it sometimes after using it for about a month, 2 months, which is honestly not a good thing, and you'll then have to go ahead and replace it with warranty. So again, foldable devices are maybe still not there yet. I'm not just talking about this one, I'm just talking in general about foldable devices, that you're sacrificing a lot when it comes to the functionality of it. Even though this is, and I think can be considered a flagship device, the price is another thing that really makes you think twice before buying it. Because if you're going to be limited with functionality, you're maybe going to have durability issues, and you're spending nearly 1.5 times more than you would on a regular flagship. For example, you can get a new iPhone for $1,000. You still have to spend $700 or more to actually, consider buying this. And then the question is it as reliable? Is it as useful? Should you just go ahead and buy something like the OnePlus 11? That's the latest flagship from OnePlus out there, which provides you pretty much, anything that you want out of a flagship Android phone. Or even an S23 Ultra, which you can buy for around 1.5 times less than this. I think it's 3,800 dirhams nowadays. You can even find it on sale. But yeah, again, guys, that's pretty much my review on this. Even though this is, as I said, considered one of the best foldable phones out there, I still think that there's room to improve. And I'm actually excited to see where this is going, because I think this is the defining moment where foldables are actually now going into the next step. They're actually now improving so much that you can kind of start thinking of them as just regular phones that you would buy for daily use. But let me know your thoughts about this. Would you consider buying this phone if you had the budget for it, if you really wanted a foldable device? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.